Albert Einstein once said, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today on trial we have modern day schooling. Glad you could come. Not only does he make fish climb trees, but also makes them climb down and do a 10-mile run. Tell me, school, are you proud of the things you've done? Turning millions of people into robots, do you find that fun? Do you realize how many kids relate to that fish? Swimming upstream in class, never finding their gifts, thinking they are stupid, believing they are useless? Well, the time has come, no more excuses. I call school to the stand and accuse him of killing creativity, individuality, and being intellectually abusive. He's an ancient institution that has outlived his usage. So, Your Honor, this concludes my opening statement, and if I may present the evidence of my case, I will prove it.
Proceed.
Exhibit A. Here's a modern day phone. Recognize it? Here's a phone from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Stay with me. Here's a car from today, and here's a car from 150 years ago. Big difference, right? Well, get this. Here's a classroom of today, and here's a class we used 150 years ago. Now, ain't that a shame? In literally more than a century, nothing has changed. Yet you claim to prepare students for the future? But with evidence like that, I must ask, do you prepare students for the future or the past? I did a background check on you and let the record show that you were made to train people to work in factories, which explains why you put students in straight rows, nice and neat, tell them sit still, raise your hand if you want to speak, give them a short break to eat, and for 8 hours a day, tell them what to think. Oh, and make them compete to get an A letter which determines product quality, hence grade A of meat. I get it. Back then, times were different. We all have a past. I myself am no Gandhi. But today, we don't need to make robot zombies. The world has progressed. And now we need people who think creatively, innovatively, critically, independently, with the ability to connect. See, every scientist will tell you that no two brains are the same. And every parent with 2 or more children will confirm that claim. So please explain why you treat students like cookie cutter frames or snapback hats, giving them this one-size-fits-all crap.
Watch your language.
Sorry, Your Honor, but if a doctor prescribed the exact same medicine to all of his patients, the results will be tragic. So many people would get sick, yet when it comes to school, this is exactly what happens, this educational malpractice, where one teacher stands in front of 20 kids, each one having different strengths, different needs, different gifts, different dreams, and you teach the same thing the same way? That's horrific. Ladies and gentlemen, the defendant should not be acquitted. This may be one of the worst criminal offenses ever to be committed. And let's mention the way you treat your employees.
Objection. Overruled. I want to hear this.
It's a shame. I mean, teachers have the most important job on the planet, yet they're underpaid? No wonder so many students are short-changed. Let's be honest, teachers should earn just as much as doctors, because a doctor can do heart surgery and save the life of a kid, but a great teacher can reach the heart of that kid and allow him to truly live. See, teachers are heroes that often get blamed, but they're not the problem. They work in a system without many options or rights. Curriculums are created by policymakers, most of which have never taught a day in their life. Just obsessed with standardized tests. They think bubbling in a multiple choice question will determine success. That's outlandish. In fact, these tests are too cruel to be used and should be abandoned, but don't take my word for it. Take Frederick J. Kelly, the man who invented standardized testing, who said, and I quote, "These tests are too cruel to be used and should be abandoned." Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if we continue down this road, the results will be lethal. I don't have much faith in school, but I do have faith in people. And if we can customize healthcare, cars, and Facebook pages, then it is our duty to do the same for education, to upgrade it, change it, do away with school spirit, because that's useless. Unless we're working to bring the spirit out of each and every student, that should be our task. No more Common Core. Instead, let's reach the core of every heart in every class. Sure, math is important, but no more than art or dance. Let's give every gift an equal chance. I know this sounds like a dream, but countries like Finland are doing impressive things. They have shorter school days. Teachers make a decent wage. Homework is non-existent, and they focus on collaboration instead of competition. But here's the kicker, boys and girls. Their educational system outperforms every other country in the world. Other places like Singapore are succeeding rapidly. Schools like Montessori, programs like Khan Academy, there is no single solution. But let's get moving, because while students may be 20% of our population, they are 100% of our future. So let's attend to their dreams, and there's no telling what we can achieve. This is a world in which I believe, a world where fish are no longer forced to climb trees. I'll rest my case. Is resign. You know, it's for me, the message is about the individual, individual responsibility and taking it upon ourselves. So now the question is, how do we fix it? I've read your comments and they say, oh, Prince EA, you have all these great big $10 words, but you never give us any solutions. How can we fix it? Right now, right here, right now, let's talk about how we fix it. And I have 4 ways on how we can fix the educational system, not only in this country, but in the world. Number 1, we have to look at education. Education comes from the Greek word educe, meaning to draw out, as in to draw the talent out of a person. School, on the other hand, is about putting more stuff in, putting more and more stuff in. So in that sense, education can get in the way of school. It's unfortunate when it's a big problem when the number 1 most asked question in classrooms is this gonna be on the test? That's not good. That's terrible. It is so important to look at the cognitive sciences and try to integrate that into the classrooms. Molecular biologist John Medina, he says that if you wanted to create an educational system that was directly opposed to what the brain was good at doing, then you would design a classroom, a modern day classroom. If I told you that students should have less homework, they should wake up later, they should be able to take naps, small naps in between classes, people would call me crazy. But when you look at the cognitive science, when you look at it, you'll see that these things actually enhance learning. Number 2, we have to bring the joy back into the classroom. The brain works best when the person is happy. If a student is stressed out, if they're miserable, how do we expect them to learn efficiently? It's not gonna happen. So we have to bring the joy and the happiness and the fun back into the classroom. Number 3, we have to look at what's working. Countries like Finland, they're doing something, and we have to look at, okay, what are they doing differently? How are their scores and their students outperforming us by so much? What are they doing? Well, it's interesting, their whole paradigm is different. You know what the number 1 most sought after career in Finland is? Teaching. Teachers. Finland takes care of their teachers. Their teachers earn 2.5 times that of what American teachers earn. And they have more rigorous standards. You need a master's degree and experience teaching before you can become a teacher in Finland. Here, you don't need that. And lastly, we need a more individualized approach. See, every child has a gift inside of them. A lot of people say, oh, I want my kid to go to a gifted school. There are gifted schools. Every child is gifted. It's about us trying to draw that gift out of them. I always say, what if the cure for cancer exists in a child right now, sitting in the back of somebody's classroom, not being engaged, not motivated, not raising their hand. But the cure for cancer exists inside of them. And if that potential, if that idea was tapped into, they could save billions of lives. But right now, they're just fish being judged by how well they can climb a tree. All right, so last thing I want to tell you guys is this. These were some of the books that I used for research for my project of I Just Sued the School System. This one is called I Love Learning, I Hate School by Susan D. Bloom. This is an anthropology of college, amazing book. This one here is called Brain Rules, John Medina. This is a great book to not only help you understand yourself, but also a lot of teachers, I think, would find it useful in their class, to use some of these techniques in their classroom. And this one, probably the most dangerous book of all, by this guy, John Taylor Gatto, An Underground History of American Education. Gatto was New York's Teacher of the Year. He is probably the most well-researched academic on the subject of school, where it comes from, the factory origins. But there's a lot more. I just hope that everybody does the research for themselves. That goes for teachers, principals, faculty, staff, and even students. Very important for us all to learn more and more about how we can change this educational system in this country and around the world. My name is Prince EA, and